Hello everyone and welcome to Tranquility Through Life's Natural Beauty. I look harassed. I wanted to get some filming done for this channel. It's a whole new series I'm doing and I'm like, I really want to do it. It's going to be so much fun. I have kind of done bits on it before, but I want to make this a actual series because there's so many aspects of it. And I've only got to film it right here. That's going to make you wonder, isn't it? I was on the floor right here. I forget it takes me time to get off the floor. And I kept looking at, I had like 5 minutes left. But by the time I kind of turned the phone off and made sure it was off, not still on, and got myself off the floor, it said 1 minute left till you're live. Talk about scramble. That really was an absolute physical scramble. You might have just seen something blip up in the intro there. That's because I was loading during the countdown what I want to share with you. Luckily, I've got everything else ready, but sometimes I forget to load a Friday film footage, and I've got a great one for today. So let's talk quickly about what the new series is going to be. I've done on this channel and my main channel, New Beginnings, my everyday life in rural Cyprus. I've done declutter, sort, organise. I've done lots of those videos, and that is going to be in the concept of what is quite popular now, restock. If you're into restock and seeing things all prettily organised, then this is the channel for you. But I'm going to start with shopping one, showing you what things I'm buying to restock. What things do I buy to restock? And then I'm going to show each of those in an episode, decluttering what I'm replacing, sorting out, reorganizing, and I put the prices up of the things that I buy. And then there's going to be future episodes with I'm sorting out where I'm keeping them and organising them. But I'm also going to show you today's one. I'm doing some of my stationery, and I'm going to do further episodes to show you how I use that stuff. Why have I bought so much stationery, particularly many of the same thing? So it will be a whole series. As I say, it will be part buying, throwing away, declutter, sort, organise. And let me tell you, this is all in a frugal way. I'm showing you the stationery I still had left, and I'm showing you anything I throw away, how it doesn't get thrown away, it gets reused or repurposed. So if you're into all that kind of thing, as I say, I've already got quite a lot of declutter, sort, reorganise videos, and it's many aspects. We've got stationery, we've got just cupboards and drawers, we've got craft stuff, we've got my cross stitch and embroidery stuff. There's going to be so much, anything and everything. Just open a drawer, open a cupboard. I am sorting my clothes at the moment. I wonder if I should have done that as well, or do that. Obviously, I've sorted those, but we shall see. So it will be a whole concept, and it's going to be incorporating living with less junk, living only with what you actually need, real life, no waste, frugal. And I'm also going to show you how Cyprus is very environmental now. Things such as cotton buds, earbuds, Q-tips, whatever you call them where you're from, how things like that and many other things now. We're not allowed to sell plastic anymore. It has to be a different concept. And even those Q-tips, cotton buds, whatever you call them, things like that are now bamboo with the little buds on each end. So there's no plastics. And I have talked a lot about that on my main channels, lives, New Beginnings, my everyday life in rural Cyprus, talking about the law of no plastics in Cyprus. And it's not just Cyprus, it's Europe. And briefly to mention the fact all of Europe, we're not on Europe mainland, but we come into a lot of the EU regulations. And it was a date everyone was supposed to stop it. and a lot of countries just paid to extend the deadline of using plastic. So if you're in a European country, England was included at that point. If you're in a country that should have been not using plastics anymore and still is, well, that means your country, your government is wasting money paying for additional time before they go to the full law of not making, manufacturing or importing anything of actual plastic. And I went through I think there's 9 different types of plastic. So we're talking the foam, styrofoam, anything like that, all the things that were included. So as I say, if you're interested in that, I did 2 full lives. I did one talking about it and then one a bit later on explaining what the alternatives were. So let's do today. Let's start first of all with Friday's quote corner. And it's a new one today, a new quote corner for Fridays. So there's a nice new quote corner for you. And if you go on my main channel, then you also see quote corner on the live. So different ones for each day. So do check that out. I'm going to mix it up today. We're still going to have our quiz time that we do on Fridays and story time. We're still going to do that, and time dependent if we do other things today. First of all, though, I want to do this. And today we're going to shout out Blue's self-reliance, and we're going to shout her out because after 3 months, she is now today going to be doing her first live. For the last 3 months, she's been in situations where she's not been able to do it, and today is her first live back after 3 months. So do go over there. The time of it, I believe she's going to do every Friday as much as possible. And it's UK time, 4:30 p.m. So I've got a feeling Steve from Steve and Tina Jewell channel, I believe he said it was going to be 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. I may be wrong on that. So the best thing to do is go and hit Blue's Self-Reliance channel, and it will come up, go under the lives at the top, and it should say scheduled. I'm pretty sure she schedules hers, and then it translates into what time it will be on for you. So do go over there and support our great friend Blue from Blue Self-Reliance. Okay, so as I say, I'm mixing it up a little bit in order today. Not that I have a set order, but I do seem to do a similar order on a Friday. So today I'm going to do the Friday film footage first, and then we'll come back with the story time, the quiz time, and we'll see how time gets on to see what else we're going to do. So here's Friday film footage, and I'll see you on the other side.
we're going to pick the kohlrabi. First time I've ever grown kohlrabi. And you can see I've covered them over now with nets because they are a brassica. And kohlrabi basically means cabbage turnip in German because they're turnip-like but grow on the top. And it's best to pick them when they're tennis ball size. You will see people grow them bigger, but they will then have a woody taste. So this side I have my white versions. So this is the size I'm going to pick them, and I'll show you what I'm cooking with them this time. Here's another one. This one I would consider actually is maybe a bit too big now. I will taste test both and see. And then I have the purple varieties over here. Colin loves to play on the nets. Here, it's a purple version. Very easy to pick. Just pull them out of the ground. They're finished. Once you pick them, there's one per plant. And of course, as I always tell you, you can eat the leaves. So I'm going to fry those up in a bit of olive oil, maybe some garlic, salt and pepper. So just give it a good pull. Leave all the soil behind, of course. And then we just peel it like an onion. Cut the bottom off like an onion and the top off. And then we're also going to cut these leaves off as well from where they join. As I say, imagine you're preparing an onion. You just pull it out the ground. Oh, look at the roots on that. Oh, that's two of them together. Pull them both up at the same time. So here we have the 3 in a row. Just a comparison of size. It's one. That I would say is pretty good. Number 2 should taste a little better as it's a bit smaller. And number 3, a bit of a long one here. But that's the purple variety. There are different shapes, as you see when you grow different zucchini, squashes, courgettes and the like. Each variety is a bit different. So let's get cooking. So I'm going to wash all the leaves as I cut them off and then fry them down in some oil and garlic or butter. And then here we actually cut all of these away close to the main part. We've cut the root away to take it from the earth, and then I'll show you what we do next. So cutting away all the leaves, all the way round. A good way to tell a really fresh one is when you still have these nice young green leaves coming out the very top. So we continue to cut away where the leaf starts to meet the vegetable, and you want to cut it quite close because in a minute we're going to peel them like you would maybe a potato or an onion, and if you have these bits sticking out you won't be able to peel very easily. And remember to cut the bottom bit off like you would the very base of an onion. Just peel now the very outer skin, again as you would a potato. And then when you finish peeling, just cut them down into slices or however you want to use them for your recipe. And I'm going to stir fry mine, and also I'm going to do some into strips, and I'm going to make a type of coleslaw, or you can have it just as a salad. So for that I will be grating some. So now I'm going to be grating some as well, which is nice to do with red cabbage, kale, carrots. I also like to do some onions and some peppers in with it to make a coleslaw. And then you can either add your own dressing, or if you like mayonnaise, you can make mayonnaise with it and serve with a salad or on its own or with other meals. Now you can also eat them raw, and I've just bitten the white one for the very first time, and for me I would actually say it's quite radishy tasting, although I've been told other things it tastes like, but for me I would say that's like a good radish. So I'll taste test the purple one and tell you what I think of that. So now I'm just going to salt and wash the leaves. You'll see the purple variety has the purple stems, the white variety has white stems. I don't eat the stems, I remove them from the leaves. I'm going to stir fry these with some either kale or chard leaves, or if you've got any of the carrot leaves you want to use, or if you've even put beetroot in, perhaps you want to use those leaves. Stir fry those up, add my coleslaw of all my grated ingredients with the dressing, and for me that's enough, but if you want to add other things as a stir fry, you can make it a main meal. So my diced pieces that I'm going to do, or my slices, I'm going to fry up in the stir fry just so I can do a taste comparison that way too. So whichever way you want to eat kohlrabi, I have more recipes that I will share with you another time. These are just some starter tips for your first time preparing and eating simple kohlrabi recipes. So trying the purple one for the first time, Mike thinks it's pretty much the same, but I think it's a much more milder taste. So I'd recommend, if you don't like such a strong taste and a more watery taste, the purple variety. If you like something a bit more like a spicier radish, not spicy but spicier,
then the white kohlrabi is my suggestion. A little grating trick: when you're grating different things, always grate the carrots last, and that will clean up your grater. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found that useful. And the reason I decided to share that one with you today is I've just picked some kohlrabi and had that for my lunch. It is now 2:25 p.m. in case you wonder. So let's continue now, and let's go straight on to today's story time. So I'm continuing with my reading of the area where I used to live in England, and this author lived there as a child. So we've got a lot of history of the area and living in past times. If you want to see the previous episodes, then you just saw there that little intro to story time. Go back through my last lives, look for that intro, and you'll know where the story time was in previous episodes. So we carry on. The description of the general home life would be incomplete without a few memories of meals. Mother was an excellent cook and had been brought up in a family which only bought the best quality of everything. Breakfast cereals had not been invented, so we had always the usual bacon and eggs, or tomatoes, or poached eggs, or kippers, or, on Sundays, cold small pork sausages with, of course, toast and marmalade to follow. Elevensies, as such, were not usual, though grown-ups often had a glass of Burgundy or sherry, and at 1 o'clock, unfailingly, we all came home from school, except a very few who lived at Sutton and were entitled to hot or cold lunch. And we sat down to a hot dinner. This might be steak and kidney pie or pudding, lamb chops, veal cutlets, steak casserole, steak and onions, Irish stew, or plaice, or Dover sole, cod and herring, and such like were despised by us as being common. All meat courses were accompanied by some form of potatoes and fresh vegetables, generally two kinds, according to season. A hot pudding would always follow, such as steamed sultana pudding, or syrup sponge, fruit tart or rice pudding, and so on, ringing the changes on the well-known English recipes of the time. On Sundays, of course, it was always a roast joint of some kind, beef, pork or lamb, with all the trimmings, and horseradish sauce, apple sauce and mint sauce, all fresh respectively. Turkey and chicken were regarded as great treats and normally only prepared on Christmas Day, somewhat different to the present time when they are commonplace items on menus. Not so much turkey, but chicken, yes. The Sunday pudding course was always rather special though, and might consist of a trifle or a fruit jelly or stewed prunes with blancmange. Prunes with blancmange. But in every case, we in our house always had fresh cream added, plus delicious peeled almonds. The mind boggles at the thought of it all now, as well as the cost. After school finished at 4 o'clock, we would return home on our bicycles, and at 5 we would sit down to a proper afternoon tea with white and brown bread and butter and jam or paste, plus a great variety of cakes. Quite often Mother would instruct me to pop down to Miss Brown the baker's in Manor Road and fetch a shilling's worth of fancies. That is about 12 or 13 of the most delectable small ice cakes in various shapes and flavours. Or, as an alternative, we often indulged in some of the tiny pink or white meringues from Ridlington's in Woodcote Road, with cream from the short dairy close by. Needless to say, after such meals, all children were given a very light bedtime snack of biscuits and milk, or homemade lemonade, or cocoa in winter. But the grown-ups, of course, later sat down to supper, or late dinner, as it was often called. I have never heard of late tea as eaten in the north until many years later. Well, that's bizarre because that came from London. So I'm confused by that. And this is a picture of Hayden's Butcher's Shop, Carshalton High Street in 1928. That's there. I must admit that I'm glad I'm not one of the modern school children with their synthetic protein meat and fish fingers and whipped instant desserts, tasting of flavoured air, as my parents and many of their contemporaries have lived into their 80s and 90s. It does not seem to have harmed them to have enjoyed such splendid meals that today might be frowned upon by experts. We talk about high-fat foods and whatever in the past. But then people walked and they worked and they did all the housework, which was far more than housework of today. So they were constantly moving. No doubt they led much more active lives, not being car orientated, which acted as a counterbalance. Home life certainly followed quite a set routine, as certain nights were set aside for baths and hair washing every week, plus a compulsory dose of the dreaded syrup of figs. I still shudder at the thought of that. Every month I was taken by Mother to have my hair singed and trimmed at the barbers and hairdressers known as Tarasay and Brown in Ross Parade. This was an exciting event which I quite enjoyed, though it was a bit scary when the lighted taper came close to one's face and one smelt the burning odour of hair. This practice has long since died out, but it was supposed to strengthen the hair. Later on, Marcel waving was performed by those two gentlemen for us with hot tongs, and this continued until the revolutionary permanent waving was introduced in about the mid-30s in our area. This account of my everyday life would be incomplete without the mention of the advent of radio and its exciting impact. We would rush home from school to listen to Children's Hour and go into raptures over the popular band leaders such as Jack Payne and Henry Hall while they were broadcasting. We were all very fond of the dance music of the day, and Mother usually bought the songs to play on the piano. This in turn meant that I, for one, was especially popular at school, since I was able to play from memory for us to dance when we were allowed, on wet days only, to spend part of the dinner hour in the assembly hall. Periodically, however, this apparently innocent pastime was stopped, and looking back, I now wonder whether it was in some ways connected with the prevailing trend to have a crush on certain senior pupils and teachers. Certainly at the time it seemed inexplicable to us that we were never given any reason for the ban. So we're going to leave that there for today. We may carry on with that next time. And as promised, let's go on and do this. I like to use those little interludes to refresh myself, particularly after reading. Okay, so my quizzes are completely random and different subjects every week. So this week we are going to do trains. Trains, not as hard as you might think. And we got 5 questions, only 5 questions today. So I will read them all. And then if you're watching this back later, see if you can think of the answers before I tell them. The first question is, in which country was the world's first ever steam railway? In which country was the world's first ever steam railway? Question 2. In which century was the first railway to cross North America built? In which century was the first railway to cross North America built? The next one. What letter F is the word used for the goods carried by trains? What letter F is the word used for the goods carried by some trains? Number 4. How long was the world's longest ever train? And I'll give you options. 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, or 7 kilometers. How long was the world's longest ever train? 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, or 7 kilometers. And the last one for today. What letter P were exploring settlers who travelled into the Wild West by train? Think carefully. Which letter P were exploring settlers who travelled into the Wild West by train? How many do you think you've got? Let's do the answers. First one was, in which country was the world's first ever steam railway? And the answer is Wales. Wales. Number 2, in which century was the first railway to cross North America built? And the answer is the 19th century. The next one. What letter F is the word used for the goods carried by some trains? And the answer is freight. Freight trains, of course, or freight goods. Number 4. How long was the world's longest ever train? 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, or 7 kilometers? And the answer is 6 kilometers. Did you get that right? And the last one is, what letter P were exploring settlers who travelled into the Wild West by train? Different concept. And the answer is pioneers, of course, pioneers. So how did you do on that one? Did you know more about trains than you thought? Did you have some lucky guesses? Let me know in the comments below how many out of 5 you got. Okay, time's getting on. I need to finish my video that I was filming just before we started the live, or else I'll have nothing to edit next week. I don't edit it today. I just get all the pieces, all the concepts. So I need to finish that. And I've got a narration to do. I tend to do narration of something that I've got footage for but need to narrate, because my husband Mike goes out shopping on Fridays while I'm doing this live. So I need to get cracking, and then I can do all the voiceover before he returns. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. What are you going to do for the rest of this day? Whichever day you're watching it back, then let me know what you're going to do for the rest of today. For me, it's Friday. So if you're watching live or soon after, have a good weekend. If you're back into next week, because I know a lot of people watch my lives as catch up the next week, then do have a good rest of the week. And until next time, keep happy, keep positive, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.